There are some men who only understand the value of a good woman after another woman has finished teaching them a very expensive lesson. And then there are men like Chidi. Chidi did not just make one mistake. No. Chidi made a mistake, defended it, celebrated it, advertised it, and then spent years regretting it. But before we get to the regret, the tears, the betrayal, the embarrassment, and the day Chidi finally realized that the woman he abandoned was the best thing that ever happened to him, let's go back to where it all started. Because once upon a time, Chidi and Kemi were deeply in love. And when I say deeply in love, I mean the kind of love where two people could share one plate of rice and argue over who got the bigger piece of chicken. Chidi was 37 years old and lived in Lagos. He was originally from Anambra State, but he had spent most of his adult life in Lagos. He owned a logistics company that had grown from one old delivery motorcycle to several vans. He wasn't a billionaire. He wasn't even close. But he was comfortable. Very comfortable. He lived in a nice 3-bedroom apartment with his wife, Kemi, and their 2 children. Kemi was 34. She was beautiful in a very simple way. She wasn't the type who entered a room and screamed, "Look at me!" No, Kemi had the kind of beauty that made people look twice without knowing why. She was calm, intelligent, funny, hardworking, and, most importantly, she was loyal. She had been with Chidi before the money came, long before the cars, long before the business, long before people started calling him chairman. In fact, when Chidi first met Kemi, he had almost nothing. It was 8 years earlier. Chidi had been working for a transport company in Lagos. His salary was enough to survive, but not enough to impress anybody. He rented a small self-contained apartment, the kind of apartment where if you opened the door too quickly, the bed would practically greet you. His kitchen was so small that if he opened the fridge, he had to step outside. But Chidi was ambitious. He always said, "One day, I will make money." His friends laughed. "Chidi, everybody says that, but I will actually do it." One Saturday afternoon, Chidi attended a friend's birthday party. That was where he saw Kemi. She was sitting at a table with her friend, eating jollof rice. Chidi walked past, then stopped, then walked back. His friend Emeka looked at him. "What are you doing?" "I forgot something." "What?" "My dignity." "Where?" "Over there." Emeka followed his eyes. He saw Kenny. "Ah. What? That one?" "Yes. Good luck." "Why?" "She looks like she has sense." "Is that a problem?" "For you?" "Yes." Chidi ignored him. He walked toward Kemi. "Excuse me." Kemi looked up. "Yes?" "Please, I want to ask you something." "What? Is this your first time here?" She looked around. "Yes." Chidi smiled. "Mine too." Kemi looked at him suspiciously. "Then why are you asking me?" Chidi froze. His prepared line had disappeared. "Actually," he looked at her plate. "You like jollof?" Kemi stared at him, then burst out laughing. "That's your question?" It seemed important. She shook her head. "Yes, I like jollof." "Good, we have something in common." "You haven't even asked if I like you." Chidi laughed. "I don't want to rush things." Kemi smiled, and somehow that ridiculous conversation became the beginning of their relationship. They started talking, then texting, then calling, then meeting. Kemi soon discovered that Chidi was ambitious. He wasn't rich, but he had plans. He wanted to build a house for his mother. He wanted his children to attend good schools. He wanted to give his family a comfortable life. One evening, while they were sitting at a roadside restaurant eating suya, Chidi said, "I don't want to remain like this forever." Kemi looked at him. "Like what?" "Struggling." She smiled. "Then don't." "That's the plan. I'll support you." Chidi looked at her. "You will?" "Of course. You don't even know what I'm going to do." "I don't need to know everything." She picked up a piece of suya. "I just need to know you're serious." That sentence stayed with Chidi. A year later, they got married. Their wedding wasn't extravagant. It was beautiful. Family, friends, music, food, plenty of dancing, and one auntie who somehow managed to take home enough food to feed a football team. After the wedding, Chidi and Kemi began building their life. The first few years were not easy. There were months when money was tight. There were times when Chidi returned home frustrated. Sometimes he would sit on the edge of the bed and say, I don't know if this business will work. Kemi would sit beside him. It will. What if it doesn't? Then we'll try something else. What if that doesn't work? We'll try again. Chidi would look at her. You're not afraid? Kemi would smile. Of course I'm afraid. Then why are you calm? Because crying won't pay the bills. Chidi would laugh. That was Kemi. Practical. One day, Chidi's business finally started improving. He got a major contract. Then another. He bought his first delivery van. The day he brought the van home, Kemi screamed. Chidi. He laughed. What? Is this ours? Yes. She walked around it, then touched the bonnet. God. Chidi laughed. Why are you behaving like you have never seen a car? I've seen cars, she pointed at him, but this one is ours. That night they celebrated with takeaway food. Nothing extravagant, just happiness. Years passed. 1 van became 3. 3 became 6. Chidi hired employees. He moved into a better apartment. He bought a bigger car. His income increased, and people started treating him differently. This was when Chidi discovered one of life's most dangerous substances. Not alcohol, not drugs, attention. People started praising him. Chairman, big man, boss. Chidi, you're doing well. At first, he enjoyed it. Who wouldn't? But gradually, something changed. The Chidi who once came home and told Kemi everything began coming home quietly. The Chidi who used to eat anything Kemi cooked began complaining. What's this? Rice. I mean, what kind? Jollof. Again? Kemi stared at him. You ate jollof yesterday. Exactly. So? I want something different. Kemi sighed. Okay, tomorrow I'll make something different. Chidi began spending more time outside. Business meetings, networking events, dinner meetings, late nights. At least at first. She knew success came with responsibilities. But then something else happened. Chidi started comparing her to other women. Not directly, but subtly. Kemi, you should take care of yourself more. I do. Not enough. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Another day. Have you seen how some women dress? Kemi looked at him. Which women? You know what I mean. No, I don't. Chidi sighed. Forget it. One Friday evening, Chidi attended a business event in Victoria Island. That was where he met Sonia. Sonia was everything Kemi was not. Or at least that was what Chidi thought. She was glamorous, confident, always perfectly dressed. She had expensive taste. She knew the best restaurants. She knew the right people. She talked about luxury hotels and international trips, as though she had a house in every country. When Sonia saw Chidi's car, she smiled. Nice car. Chidi smiled. Thank you. You must be doing very well. Trying. Don't be modest. She laughed. You look like a successful man. Those words were dangerous, because Kemi had spent years telling Chidi that he was capable, but Sonia made him feel successful without knowing the struggle behind his success, and that difference mattered. They exchanged numbers. At first, their conversations were harmless. Then, personal. Then, intimate. One night, Sonia sent, You deserve to be happier. Chidi stared at the message. He typed, I am happy. She replied, Are you? Chidi didn't answer. That question followed him home. When he entered the house, Kemi was asleep on the sofa. She had waited for him. There was food on the dining table, a plate covered with foil. Chidi looked at her, then at the food, then back at her. He quietly carried the food into the kitchen, but something had changed. The next morning, Kemi noticed. You came late. Business. Everything okay? Yes. She smiled. Good. Chidi looked at her. He suddenly felt guilty. But instead of listening to that guilt, he ignored it. And that was his first serious mistake. A few weeks later, Kemi noticed that Chidi had started protecting his phone. He never left it unattended. If it rang, he would take it outside. If a message came in, he would turn the screen over. One evening, Kemi was folding clothes. Chidi's phone rang. He quickly picked it up. Kemi looked at him. Who is that? Business. At 10 p.m.? Yes. She nodded. Okay. Chidi walked away. Kemi watched him. She wasn't stupid. She knew something was wrong. But she didn't want to accuse her husband without proof. So she waited. One Sunday morning, she finally asked, Chidi, are you happy? He looked up from his breakfast. Why are you asking? Just answer. Yes. Are you happy with me? Chidi paused. Why are you asking me this? Because I feel like you're no longer here. I'm sitting right here. You know what I mean. Chidi dropped his spoon. Kemi, I'm tired. Tired of what? This. What is this? These constant questions. Kemi looked hurt. I ask because I care. Sometimes you care too much. Silence. Kemi stared at him, then quietly said, Okay. She stood up. She walked away. Chidi didn't follow. He should have. But he didn't. Instead, he picked up his phone. There was a message from Sonia. Good morning, handsome. I miss you. Chidi smiled, and that smile would cost him almost everything. Sonia knew exactly what she was doing. She never rushed Chidi. She never demanded anything at first. She simply listened. Whenever Chidi complained about Kemi, Sonia would say, Maybe she doesn't understand you. Whenever he complained about marriage, Sonia would say, You deserve peace. Whenever he talked about his business, Sonia would say, I believe in you. And Chidi loved hearing it. Soon, he began spending more time with Sonia. They went to restaurants. They took photographs. One afternoon, Sonia said, Chidi, you work too hard. He laughed. Someone has to make money. She smiled. You know, life is not just about making money. What else? Enjoying it. That sentence appealed to him. Kemi was always talking about school fees, groceries, electricity, children, bills. Sonia talked about vacations, restaurants, fashion, luxury. Chidi began believing that Kemi was boring. He forgot that Kemi had been boring with him when they were broke. He forgot that she had eaten cheap noodles with him without complaining. He forgot that she had sold some of her jewelry to help him buy equipment for his business. He forgot everything. Because excitement is very good at erasing memory. One evening, Chidi came home and announced, I am traveling next weekend. Kemi looked up. Where? Abuja. For how long? 3 days. Business? Yes. Kemi nodded. Okay. But she could tell he was lying. That weekend, Chidi wasn't in Abuja. He was with Sonia at a luxury resort. They took pictures by the pool. Sonia posted one. Chidi didn't appear clearly in it. But Kemi recognized his watch. She recognized his hand. She stared at the picture for almost 5 minutes. Then she called Chidi. He didn't answer. She called again. Nothing. When he finally returned home 2 days later, Kemi was waiting. How was Abuja? Fine. Did you enjoy the conference? Yes. What conference? Chidi froze. What do you mean? I asked what conference. He looked at her. Why? Because I called the company. Silence. Kemi's voice became softer. They said there was no conference. Chidi stared at her. Kemi, who is she? He didn't answer. Who is Sonia? His face changed. Kemi saw everything. She didn't need another explanation. She sat down. How long? Chidi looked away. Kemi, how long? A few months. She laughed. Not because it was funny. Because sometimes pain becomes so heavy that the body doesn't know what else to do. A few months. She nodded. Okay. Kemi, please. Do you love her? Chidi didn't answer. That silence was louder than anything. Kemi stood up. Then go. He looked at her. What? Go. I'm not saying I want to leave, but you already left. She walked into the bedroom. Chidi followed. Kemi, please listen. No. I made a mistake. Then fix it. I will. When? He had no answer. Chidi, do you know what hurts? He looked at her. You didn't just cheat on me. You made me feel like I was no longer enough. Chidi lowered his eyes. You made me question myself. She wiped her tears. I stood with you when you had nothing. I know. No, you don't. She shook her head. You don't know. That night, Chidi slept on the sofa. But by morning, he had convinced himself that Kemi was being dramatic. She sent him. You deserve a woman who makes you happy. Chidi stared at the message. And instead of fighting for his marriage, he chose Sonia. He asked Kemi for a divorce. The news devastated her. Their families became involved. Chidi's mother was furious. His older brother, Obi, nearly slapped him. You want to leave Kemi? It's my decision. You will regret this. I won't. Obi laughed. You are very confident. Yes. Good. He pointed at Chidi. Remember this confidence when life teaches you. Chidi ignored him. The divorce went through. Kemi left with the children. She didn't beg. She didn't fight. She didn't insult Sonia. She simply packed her things. Before leaving, she stood in the doorway. She looked at Chidi. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she said, I hope you find what you're looking for. Chidi nodded. I will. Kemi walked away. And Chidi watched the woman he had once promised to love forever leave his life. He didn't cry. Not yet. Because Sonia was waiting. And Chidi believed he had chosen correctly. For the first few months, everything looked perfect. Sonia moved into his apartment. She changed the curtains, changed the furniture, changed the television, changed the kitchen appliances. Then, she changed the car. Then she wanted another apartment. Then another vacation. Then designer clothes. Chidi didn't mind. He was enjoying his new life. One evening, they went to a restaurant. The bill arrived. Sonia looked at it. That's all? Chidi laughed. All? I thought you wanted to impress me. He smiled. I'll do better next time. She kissed him. That's my man. Chidi felt like a king. Until the bills started arriving faster than the money. His company had begun experiencing problems. A major client left. Fuel prices increased. Maintenance costs rose. Employees demanded higher salaries. Taxes, rent, loans, everything was increasing. But Sonia's expectations didn't change. One day, she asked, when are we going to Dubai? Dubai? Yes. We have a lot going on. She frowned. You promised. I said, we'll see. You are changing. No. You used to be generous. Chidi stared at her. I am still generous. Then prove it. And slowly, the woman who once told him to enjoy life became the woman demanding that he fund the lifestyle. Chidi began working longer hours. He became stressed. One night he returned home exhausted. Sonia was angry. You forgot to buy the bag. What bag? The one I sent you. I've been busy. You always have an excuse. Sonia, please. She folded her arms. Maybe you're no longer the man I fell in love with. Chidi looked at her. He almost laughed, because those were the exact words he had once used against Kemi. The irony was brutal. But it got worse. The next morning, Chidi discovered that Sonia had used his company card to make several expensive purchases. What is this? She shrugged. You gave me access. That doesn't mean you should spend like this. Are you counting money now? This is business money. Then make more. Chidi stared at her. For the first time, he saw something he had refused to see. Sonia didn't love the struggle. She loved the lifestyle. And as long as Chidi could provide it, everything was fine. But the moment the money became tight, so did the relationship. Meanwhile, Kemi had begun rebuilding her life. She started a small catering business from her kitchen. At first, she cooked for birthdays, then office meetings, then small weddings. Her food became popular. People started recommending her. Her business grew. 1 year after the divorce, she rented a small commercial kitchen. 2 years later, she employed 5 people. And Chidi heard about it. At first, he didn't care. Then he saw a photograph of Kemi online. She was standing beside her staff, smiling, confident, happy. Chidi stared at the picture. Something inside him moved. But he pushed it away. She has moved on, he told himself. Good for her. Then he saw something else. Kemi had bought a house, her own house. Chidi stared at the photograph of the building. He remembered how Kemi once told him, "One day we will build our own house." Now she had done it, without him. And for the first time, Chidi felt something he had never expected. Jealousy. Because she was happy without him. And that was the beginning of Chidi's downfall. Before we continue, take a second to like this video and subscribe to True Life Diaries. And tell me honestly, have you ever watched someone make a terrible decision and thought, this person will regret this later? Because Chidi was about to discover that regret doesn't always knock politely. Sometimes, it kicks the door down. Stay with me, because the next part is where Chidi's perfect new life begins to collapse. Chidi's life changed gradually, not overnight. Instead, everything began falling apart one piece at a time. The first thing to disappear was money. His company had taken on too many expenses. He had expanded too quickly. He had borrowed money to maintain the lifestyle he wanted. And now the income wasn't enough. One morning his accountant called. "Sir, we need to talk." "About what?" "The company account." "What about it?" "We're running low." Chidi sighed. "How low?" There was silence. Chidi sat down. "What?" "Sir, if we don't receive payment from the pending clients, we'll have serious problems." "Call them." "We've called." "Call again." "Sir." "Call again." He ended the call. Sonia entered the room. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "You don't look fine." "I'm fine." She looked at him. "Are we still traveling next month?" Chidi closed his eyes. "Sonia." "What?" "We need to postpone the trip." She stared at him. "Why?" "Business." "Again?" "Your business is always the excuse." "Because it's my business." "Then maybe you should sell it." Chidi looked at her. "What?" "You heard me. You want me to sell my company? If it's causing so many problems?" He shook his head. "You don't understand." "Maybe I don't." She walked away. Then that evening, Chidi sat alone. He remembered Kemi. When business was difficult, she had never asked him to sell. She had asked, "What can we cut?" Now Sonia was asking, "What can you give me?" The difference was becoming impossible to ignore. Then came the bank, then creditors, then employees, then a legal dispute. Chidi's company was bleeding money. He sold one car. Sonia complained. Then another. She became furious. "Why are you selling everything?" "To save the company." "Your company?" "Yes." She laughed. "I didn't sign up for this." Chidi stared at her. "What exactly did you sign up for?" She didn't answer. A week later, she left. Just like that. No long argument, no tears. She packed her clothes. Chidi watched. "You're leaving?" "Yes." "Where are you going?" "Somewhere I can breathe." "You said you loved me." "I did." "And now?" She picked up her handbag. Things change. The door closed. Chidi stood there, alone. Again. But this time, there was no excitement waiting outside. No luxury resort. No Sonia. No applause. He sat on the floor and laughed bitterly. "Chairman," he whispered, then shook his head. Chairman indeed. Next morning, Chidi called Kunle. "Bro?" "Yes? I need help." Kunle was quiet. "What happened?" "Everything." "Meaning?" Sonia left. "Ah. My business is struggling." "Ah. I have debts." "Ah. My car is gone." "Ah." "Stop saying ah." Kunle laughed. "I'm sorry." Chidi sighed. "Please come and see me." They met at a small restaurant. "You've lost weight." "Thanks." "I'm serious." "I know." Kunle took a sip of water. "Have you spoken to Kemi?" Chidi looked down. "No." "Why?" "I'm ashamed." "Good." Chidi looked up. "Why does everybody keep saying that?" "Because you should be." Kunle leaned forward. "You had a good woman." "I know." "You threw her away." "I know." "You chose Sonia." "I know." "Now Sonia has chosen herself." "I know." Kunle nodded. Good. At least you know. I want Kemi back. Kunle shook his head. That's not the first thing you should want. What should I want? To become the kind of man who deserves forgiveness. Chidi looked at him. For once, he had no argument. Chidi eventually called Kemi. She answered. Hello? Kemi, yes? It's Chidi. I know. He swallowed. Can we talk? About? I want to apologize. There was silence. Then Kemi said, You already apologized. I know. Then what do you want? I don't know. Chidi, I miss you. Silence. He continued. I miss the children. You can see them. I miss our home. Kemi. Chidi, the home you miss doesn't exist anymore. What do you mean? You destroyed it. He closed his eyes. I know. You can't keep going backward. I just want another chance. Kemi was quiet. Then she said, You had your chance. I know. You made your choice. I know. Then live with it. The call ended. Chidi sat on the edge of his bed. And finally, he cried. Not because Sonia left. Not because his business was struggling. Not because he was losing money. He cried because he had finally understood. Kemi had never been holding him back. She had been holding him together. Months passed. Chidi began rebuilding. He sold what he could, paid some debts, closed unnecessary branches, moved into a smaller apartment. He stopped pretending. He stopped trying to impress people. He became more involved in his children's lives. Every Wednesday, he picked them up from school. Every Saturday, they spent time together. One afternoon, his son asked, Daddy, why don't you live with us? He looked at his son. It's complicated. Did you fight with Mommy? Chidi swallowed. Yes. Did you make her angry? Yes. What did you do? Chidi looked at his son. I made a bad decision. His son thought for a moment. Are you going to fix it? Chidi smiled sadly. I'm trying. Meanwhile, Kemi's business continued growing. She had become a successful entrepreneur. She was invited to speak at a women's business event. Chidi saw the flyer. He stared at her photograph. Then he felt sad, because he knew he could have been beside her. But he had chosen another road, and that road had led him straight into regret. One evening, Chidi received an unexpected message from Kemi. His heart jumped. The message was short. The children have a school event next Saturday. You should come. Chidi stared at it. He smiled. Maybe this was his chance. But he reminded himself, this wasn't about getting Kemi back. It was about being a father. He replied, I'll be there. What Chidi didn't know was that the school event would change everything, because that was where he would meet the man Kemi had started spending time with. And that man would force Chidi to confront a truth he wasn't ready to hear. The school event was crowded. Parents, teachers, children, food vendors, photographers, and one woman selling popcorn who seemed determined to make enough money to buy the entire school. Chidi arrived early. He wore a simple shirt and trousers. No designer watch, no flashy car, just himself. He saw Kemi. She was standing with the children. He smiled. She smiled politely. You're here. I said I would come. She nodded. The children ran toward him. Daddy! He hugged them. For the first time in years, Chidi felt like he belonged somewhere. Then he saw a man walking toward Kemi. Tall, calm, well-dressed, not flashy. He greeted Kemi warmly. Are you ready? She smiled. Yes. The man noticed him. Kemi introduced them. Chidi, this is Daniel. Daniel extended his hand. Nice to meet you. Chidi shook it. Same here. The handshake was polite, but Chidi felt something he didn't want to feel. Jealousy. Daniel wasn't trying to impress anyone. He wasn't showing off. He wasn't looking at Chidi like a rival. He simply treated Kemi with respect. And Chidi noticed. During the event, Daniel helped the children. He bought them snacks. He listened to Kemi. He laughed with her. At one point, Kemi said something. Daniel laughed. Chidi recognized that laugh. It was the same laugh Kemi used to have with him. And it hurt. After the event, Chidi approached Kemi. Is he your boyfriend? She looked at him. Why? Just asking. Yes, Chidi nodded. I see. Kenny studied his face. Are you okay? Yes, you don't look okay. I'll be fine. She nodded. Then walked away. That evening, Chidi went home. He sat quietly. He remembered something. Years ago, Kenny had told him, I don't need a perfect husband. I just need a man who respects me. Chidi had failed. Daniel had apparently succeeded. And the thought tortured him. But Chidi didn't give up. Not because he wanted to destroy Kenny's new relationship. He wanted to prove that he had changed. He began focusing on himself. He became a better father. He rebuilt his business. He became more responsible. He apologized to people he had hurt. He even apologized to his mother for embarrassing the family. Slowly, life improved. But then something unexpected happened. Kemi's mother fell ill. Chidi heard about it. He immediately offered help. Kemi hesitated. Are you sure? Yes. I can handle it. I know. Then why? Because she's still my children's grandmother. Kemi looked at him. That answer surprised her. Chidi wasn't asking for anything. He simply helped. And for the first time, Kemi began to wonder if he really had changed. Months later, Chidi's company won a major contract. He was excited. But instead of buying a new car, he invested the money into the business. Kunle couldn't believe it. Who are you? I've changed. Kunle shook his head. Miracle. Chidi smiled. Maybe. One evening Kemi called him. Chidi, yes? Can we talk? Sure. They met at a quiet restaurant. Kemi looked at him. You've changed. Chidi smiled. I'm trying. Why? He thought about it. Because I didn't like the person I became. She nodded. I respect that. Thank you. There was silence. Then Chidi said, I don't expect you to come back. You don't? No. Why? Because I finally understand that changing doesn't mean someone owes you another chance. Kemi stared at him. That was the most mature thing she had ever heard him say. She smiled. I'm glad. Me too. They continued talking. For the first time they spoke without anger, without blame, without manipulation. They talked about the children, business, life, and eventually, the past. Chidi apologized properly. Not, I'm sorry if I hurt you. Not, I'm sorry but. Just, I was wrong. Kemi nodded. I know, I was selfish. Yes. I chose excitement over loyalty. Yes. I hurt you. Yes. I don't expect you to forget. I won't. Chidi smiled sadly. You shouldn't. They sat quietly. Then Kemi said, I forgive you. Chidi's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. But forgiveness doesn't mean we go back. I understand. And that was when Chidi finally realized something. Forgiveness wasn't reconciliation. Forgiveness was freedom. Kemi had freed herself from the anger, and Chidi had to learn to live with the consequences. If you've made it this far, you already know Chidi has learned some serious lessons. But I want to know what you think. Should Kemi give Chidi another chance now that he has genuinely changed? Or should she move forward with Daniel? Comment your answer below. And please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the biggest emotional twist of this entire story is about to be revealed. Because just when Chidi thinks he has finally accepted his fate, Kemi is about to make a decision that nobody expected. 3 years passed. Chidi had become a different man. His business was stable. He was financially responsible. He was present for his children. He no longer cared about impressing people. But he still carried one regret. Kemi. Not because he believed he deserved her, but because he knew he had lost something precious. One afternoon, his daughter called him. Daddy, yes? Mummy has news. What news? I can't tell you. Why? She said she wants to tell you herself. Chidi's heart started beating faster. What kind of news? I don't know. Is she okay? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. That evening Kemi called. Chidi. Yes? Can we meet? Of course. They met the following day. Kemi sat across from him. I've been thinking. About? Us. Chidi remained silent. She continued. Not about getting back together. His heart dropped slightly. I understand. But, about our family. Chidi looked at her. We're always going to be connected because of the children. Yes. I've watched you change. He said nothing. I know you've changed. Thank you. I've also changed. He smiled. I know. And I realized something. What? We don't have to hate each other because our marriage ended. Chidi nodded. We don't. Kemi smiled. I want us to have a better relationship. As friends, co-parents first. He smiled. I'd like that. And so they began rebuilding something. Not a marriage, not romance, respect. They attended the children's events together. They celebrated birthdays together. They supported each other's businesses. There was no bitterness. Daniel was still in Kemi's life, and Chidi respected that. One day, Chidi saw Kemi and Daniel together. He realized he wasn't angry anymore. He was actually happy for her. That was when he knew he had truly healed. Because sometimes you know you've healed when you can see the person who replaced you smiling. And you no longer feel like fighting. One Christmas, the whole family gathered. Kemi, Chidi, the children, Kemi's mother, Chidi's mother, relatives, friends, food everywhere, rice, chicken, pepper soup, fried plantain. And one uncle who had been drinking since noon and was now giving everyone financial advice. The children were laughing. Kemi was smiling. Chidi watched them. His mother came and stood beside him. My son? Yes, Mama? Are you okay? He smiled. Yes. Truly? Truly. I'm proud of you. Chidi looked at her. Why? Because you finally learned. He smiled. What? That life is not about having everything. She paused. It is about knowing what matters. Chidi looked across the room. Kemi was laughing with the children. He smiled. Yes, Mama. Later that night, Chidi sat outside. The Lagos night was unusually quiet. He thought about his younger self, the ambitious young man, the newly married man, the successful businessman, the arrogant husband, the man who thought he had found something better, the divorced man, the broken businessman, the lonely man, and finally, the man he had become. He smiled. He had lost Kemi, but he had found himself. And maybe that was the lesson. Not every mistake can be reversed. Some mistakes can only be learned from. Years later, Chidi was invited to speak at a young entrepreneurs conference. The topic was success, failure, and the choices we make. He stood on the stage. Hundreds of people were listening. A young man asked, Sir, what is the biggest mistake you've ever made? The room became quiet. Chidi smiled. He could have talked about business. He could have talked about financial mistakes. He said, My biggest mistake was believing that success gave me the right to neglect the people who loved me. The audience listened. He continued, I had a woman who stood with me when I had nothing. He paused. I became successful and started looking for someone who would appreciate the man I had become. He shook his head. Meanwhile, I forgot the woman who loved the man I was. The room was silent. That woman was my wife. He didn't hide it. He didn't pretend. He told the truth. I lost her. Someone asked, Do you regret it? Chidi smiled sadly. Every day. Another person asked, Did you get her back? No. The audience reacted. Chidi nodded. And that's another lesson. He looked around the room. Sometimes becoming a better person doesn't mean you get back what you lost. He paused. Sometimes the reward is simply becoming better. That answer stayed with many people. After the event, a young woman approached him. Sir. Yes? My husband is going through a difficult period. Chidi smiled. Talk to him. He doesn't listen. Then show him this story. She smiled. I will. Another young man approached. Sir, can I ask you something? Sure. If you could go back, would you change everything? Chidi thought about it, then smiled. Yes. Everything? Everything. He laughed. But I can't. So what do? You learn. That evening, Chidi went home. His daughter was waiting for him. Daddy, he smiled. What's happening? I have something for you. She handed him a small gift. What is it? Open it. Inside was a framed photograph. It was a picture of Chidi and his children. He stared at it. His eyes became wet. His daughter hugged him. "Daddy, are you crying?" "No, you are. Something entered my eye." She laughed. "What entered your eye?" "Emotion." She laughed even harder. Chidi hugged her. Then his son joined them. For a moment, everything felt right. Not perfect, but right. And perhaps that was enough. Chidi never remarried. Not because he believed there was nobody else in the world, but because he had learned not to treat marriage like a competition. He focused on his children, his business, his family, his community. He mentored young men. He often told them, "Don't wait until your wife leaves before you start appreciating her." They would laugh. Then he would become serious. "Respect your wife. Listen to her. Don't compare her to another woman. Don't let social media make you hate your real life. And don't mistake attention for love." Those words came from experience. Painful experience, but experience nonetheless. One afternoon, Chidi was driving through Lekki. He passed a restaurant. He remembered the first time Sonia had taken him there. He smiled. Then he remembered the small roadside restaurant where he and Kenny used to eat suya. The expensive restaurant had given him excitement. The roadside restaurant had given him memories. And suddenly he understood the difference. Luxury is not always happiness. Sometimes happiness is sitting beside someone you love while arguing about who gets the last piece of meat. Sometimes happiness is sharing one bottle of malt. Sometimes happiness is laughing at nothing. Sometimes happiness is having somebody who knows your weaknesses and still chooses you. You don't know how valuable that person is until they stop choosing you. Chidi eventually became a grandfather. His children grew up. They got married. They built families. And Chidi remained close to Kemi. Not as husband and wife, but as two people who had once loved each other deeply and had learned to respect the history they shared. Whenever people asked about Kemi, Chidi spoke respectfully. He never blamed her. Never called her ungrateful. Never told people she was difficult. He simply said she was a good woman, because she was. And whenever someone asked what happened to their marriage, he gave the same answer. "I made a choice. That's all. No excuses, no blaming, no stories. Just, I made a choice." One day his son asked him, "Dad, do you think people deserve second chances?" Chidi thought about it. "Sometimes." "Do you?" "Sometimes." "What about you?" Chidi smiled. "I got many second chances." "From Mom?" "No." "Then from who?" "Life." His son looked confused. "Your mother didn't owe me another chance." He paused. "But life gave me the chance to become a better man." His son nodded. "And I took it." And that is how Chidi learned the hardest lesson of his life. The woman he left was not holding him back. She was standing beside him. The life he thought was boring was actually peaceful. The money he thought would make him happy only made his mistakes more expensive. The attention he chased disappeared. The woman he chose left. The friends who praised him disappeared when his money disappeared. But the children remained. His family remained. And most importantly, the lesson remained. Chidi regretted everything, but his regret became his teacher. And maybe that is the biggest lesson of all. You don't need to lose everything before you learn to appreciate what you have. Don't wait until the house is empty. Don't wait until the phone stops ringing. Don't wait until the person who always forgave you finally stops answering. Don't wait until somebody else is holding the hand you once took for granted. Appreciate people while they are still there. Because sometimes, sorry comes too late. Sometimes love comes too late. Sometimes understanding comes too late. And sometimes the person you spent years trying to replace becomes the person you spend the rest of your life remembering. Chidi couldn't change his past, but he could change his future. And he did. He became a better father, a better businessman, a better friend, a better man. And although he could never go back and change what happened, he made sure that he would never make the same mistake again, because he had learned something that money could never teach him. A good woman is not something you find every day. A loyal woman is not something you replace every day. And genuine love, you better recognize it when you have it. Because once it walks away, it may never come back. And that brings us to the end of today's story. So, let me ask you, if you were Kenny, would you have forgiven Chidi? Would you have given your marriage another chance? Or do you believe that some mistakes are simply too painful to undo? And if you were Chidi, what would you have done differently? Tell us in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. If this story touched you, please like this video, subscribe to True Life Diaries, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next story. And don't forget to share this story with someone who might need the lesson. Because sometimes, the person sitting beside you is more valuable than the person you're busy looking for. Sometimes peace is more valuable than excitement. Sometimes loyalty is more valuable than beauty. And sometimes, the grass isn't greener on the other side. Sometimes, you simply stopped watering your own grass. This is True Life Diaries. Until our next story, take care of yourself. Take care of the people who love you. And most importantly, never wait until you lose someone before you realize their worth. Goodbye. And I'll see you in the next story.